Today I'm going to discuss the context in the Pearson Edexcel text Coram Boy. Throughout your answer for the Coram Boy question, you need to link your ideas to the context. I'm going to talk about the society in the 18th century, including class and the slave trade, Thomas Coram and the Foundling Hospital, and the Gothic genre. So, as mentioned, the novel is set in 18th century England, a time when the country was undergoing significant social and political change. One of the most important aspects to consider was the rise of the slave trade. We see this explored in the novel with Otis's dealings and the character of Toby. The slave trade took place from the 17th century through to its abolition in the 19th century. British merchants were among the largest participants in the Atlantic slave trade. It was the largest forced migration in history, and it's estimated that 3.4 million people were transported, with only 2.6 million surviving the journey. There were large profits available from this trade and from the enslavement and sale of children in workhouses and orphanages. The British involvement in the slave trade led to the development of black communities in the cities in the UK. But most of these people were servants or lived in poverty during the 18th century. The story takes place at a time when class divisions were rigid, and therefore there was a lot of social inequality. You had the very rich, with characters like Sir William and Lady Ashbrook, and the poor, such as the children at the orphanage or the mothers forced to give their babies up. The wealthy lived lives of luxury, as we see at Ashbrook, whereas the orphans were shaped by their abandonment, fear, and lack of opportunity. People of wealth and privilege had very little understanding or empathy for the struggles of the poor. They really didn't feel that it was their responsibility, as demonstrated by the character of Admiral Bailey. It's good to learn the phrase, "The novel highlights the divide between the wealthy elite and the lower impoverished classes." Now, there was also a divide when it came to gender. Society was patriarchal, with men as the breadwinners and women running the home. In more affluent families, such as the Ashbrooks, the woman's role would only extend to taking charge of the household accounts and the servants. For women in poverty life, it was harsh, with the only assistance being charity. Now, moving on to Thomas Coram. Who was he? Well, he was born in 1668 and he died in 1751. Captain Thomas Coram was a successful sea captain. After he retired, he lived in London, and he was really shocked by the poverty on the streets of London and the number of abandoned children. He decided that he would use his money and his influence to try to do good and improve these children's lives. So, in 1739, the Foundling Hospital was opened. It was one of the first institutions dedicated to the care of abandoned children. During this time, infant mortality was really high, and many children were abandoned because their families didn't have the money to look after them. In the novel, the Foundling Hospital plays a central role. The characters of Aaron and Toby grow up there, as well as it giving shelter to Mish. The hospital provided hope, safety and education for children like Aaron and Toby. But the harsh reality for other orphan children is illustrated by the social neglect of children during this era. Now, when we use the word hospital, it means more than just hospital. It means hospitality of young people. Now, moving on to the Gothic genre. There are many links between the novel and this genre. We know that the Gothic genre is known for its dark and eerie atmospheres, elements of mystery and horror, themes of isolation, along with lots of secrets. And there are elements of all of these in the novel. There are eerie and oppressive settings such as the orphanage in Ashbrook, remote areas when Otis and Meshach dump babies, and all contribute to the feeling of foreboding and mystery. Now, much of the plot revolves around dark secrets of the characters, particularly with the sinister activities of the Coram man, aka Otis, who illegally sells children, and the secrets surrounding Aaron's true identity. Let alone the fact that Melissa doesn't even know he's alive, and Alexander doesn't even know that he's a father. Additionally, Meshach can be viewed as a Gothic character. He has similarities to someone like Frankenstein's monster. He is isolated from the rest of society, and he's also involved in grotesque actions with burying the children. We have looked at key areas of the context. We've looked at 18th century England, the slave trade, social inequality, the Coram Hospital, and the Gothic genre. Now, I suggest that you take this information and find key moments and quotes from the novel that link it, and either create a mind map or revision cards. If you have any questions, ask them in the comments, and subscribe for new upcoming videos.